Hey everybody, this is Brian, and this is once again This Week in Cryptocurrency for July 30th. For those of you watching this live, this is of course another live broadcast of this segment. Feel free to jump on the group chat and ask any questions or make any comments, and I'll try to address them all. So there's two big things we need to discuss in this episode. First, something that happened, two, something that's about to happen. So let's go over what happened in the past week. That affects all of us traders here. And that is that the Bitcoin exchange, Btc-e, got shut down by the great old United States government. So, I'm a big fan of using MetaTrader. And as far as I know, MetaTrader was only supported by Btc-e. So there's now currently, as far as I know, no way to use MetaTrader to trade cryptocurrencies. And I know I've made a lot of videos on this channel about doing that. I am actively researching alternatives to Btc-e. If anybody else has any leads out there for exchanges that may support it in the future, please let us all know. And I'll post that here when we get that information. So really sorry to anybody who lost funds on that seizure. Luckily, I didn't have too much in there, but I did have a little bit. I wouldn't expect to ever see those again. Those are in some government office somewhere. So the big thing that's about to happen, I'm sure most people have heard about it on August 1st, the potential Bitcoin hard fork. I just kind of want to go over, I don't want to get into the politics of any of that, but kind of want to go over how that should affect any trading strategy that you have for the next few days. So first of all, let's go over a little bit what the hard fork is, or what it potentially is. First of all, no one knows exactly for sure what's going to happen that day, but here's the proposals that have been made. So the way the cryptocurrencies work is they're on a block. The backbone is called a blockchain. What the blockchain is it's a public ledger of transactions. For cryptocurrencies, is a ledger of transactions. There are other uses of the blockchain besides cryptocurrencies, and then there's ledger of different things. But for our purposes, they're a transaction of ledgers. So what the hard fork is where the existing Bitcoin blockchain is going to fork off and go into two separate paths. Therefore, on both of these forks, the transaction history all the way back to the beginning of Bitcoin is going to be the same. It's just that from the second they fork, the future transaction ledger will be separate. So what this means is that the Bitcoin holdings you have now, you're going to, at the moment of the split, you're going to have the exact same amount of holdings in the Bitcoin Cash, which, depending on the exchange you're on and the place you're on, has a different ticker. I've seen a bunch of different things, but on Reddit all the time, it's BCC, Bitcoin Cash. So that has nothing to do with the fiat value of either of those things. That's completely unpredictable right now. But if you're just tracking your funds with Bitcoin as the base, then you'll all of a sudden have, two different equal balances. Once again, there's no, because it hasn't happened yet, there's no clear methodology for how you'll be able to trade using the new Bitcoin Cash. A lot of exchanges have come forward and said they will support it. I don't think any of them have given a specific timeline. So it's just kind of one of those hurry up and wait things, wait and see over the first, second, and third what gets implemented by all these companies. Also, there's no clear way on how to claim your Bitcoin Cash coins. However, one thing that is for sure is you will have to hold, Method one is that will work for everybody, is that if you hold the private keys, meaning if you run a wallet on your computer, most likely there are a couple web services that let you have your private keys, but the most surefire way is to get one of the original Satoshi wallet clients running on your machine. Then you'll have the private keys. So whenever Bitcoin Cash launches a wallet or something, you just download their wallet, import your private keys, and boom, all your funds will be there. Now, with that being said, there is a second method, which some exchanges, including Kraken and a couple others, I will, after this in the comments, list the exact ones that have said so. I'm sorry, I should have had it in my notes, but a couple of other exchanges have said that they're going to support Bitcoin Cash. But if, you know, the history of exchanges shows anything, it's that it can be a little dicey. I personally am not going to trust the exchanges to handle that smoothly. I'm going to play it a little safer, but, you know, you're more than welcome to do whatever you want. Just take it with a warning that I wouldn't put all of your funds in an exchange. Expect that to go seamlessly. So how that all affects trading, once again, we don't really know. What I do know for sure is there's going to be huge opportunities over the next few days for profits, but that comes with incredibly high risk. So once again, you know, don't take a loan out on your home to be trading this. That's just ridiculous. But if you want to put a little bit of money in that you can afford to lose, things should be really interesting and really volatile, which is where big profits can be made on short time frames. If you're, excuse me, if you're one of the buy and hold people, I would just sort of turn off your computer for the next few days, you know, assuming you have your Bitcoin stored in a place where you have the private keys. Just stay off the internet for like the next week. When you come back, things might very well just be back to normal. But if you're an active trader, day trader, swing trader, whatever, if you're a high risk taking person, then there's perhaps some profits, but there's also a lot of opportunity to lose a whole bunch of money. So just be careful with doing that. One thing I would absolutely not be doing over the next few days is any margin trading, because it's very unclear how the exchanges will handle that. A reminder about how margin trading works is you're borrowing money, Bitcoin, whatever the base currency is, from the exchange in order to sell it at a price at a later date, or in the case of shorting, you're borrowing against the future value. And if you have a margin position over the chain split, I'm not saying anything could go wrong with it, but it's just totally unknown right now. And it's probably dependent on each exchange, how they're going to handle that situation. So I would just stay out of margin trading completely for the next few days. So with all that being said, I see there's quite a few live viewers here now. Go ahead and ask any questions you have about you know, the Btc-e exchange shutdown, or the Bitcoin hard fork, or anything else. Any more questions you have about cryptocurrency trading or anything like that? No questions so far. We'll just give it a second. Maybe you're a slow typist. All right. Anyways, so, you know, one thing is clear: the next few days will be interesting. And yeah, who knows what's going to happen? But it's definitely, there's always the possibility that, it's a small possibility at this point, that basically nothing happens and things just go along as normal. But I wouldn't bet on that. I would bet that on August 1st, we're going to be talking about that day for quite a while. If you're more interested in how chain splits work and when, you know, what has happened in the past when that has happened, I would go ahead and investigate. A lot of people forget, a year ago, maybe it was more, the Ethereum blockchain had a similar hard fork happening when there was a hack that took place and they decided to roll back a series of transactions. Some people didn't like that, so that's where Ethereum Classic comes from. But anyways, so there was a chain fork there. You could go back and look at price histories about what happened to the prices of both chains. When that happened, that might give you some indication. That'll probably at least give you some indication of how quickly prices are going to change and how volatile it's going to be. You know, the amount of money in this space now is incredibly high compared to back then. So I think there's a lot more dumb money in the system now as well. So it's hard to tell if it'll play out the same, but that'll at least give you a starting place to look. So anyways, yeah, if you're watching this video at a later date, please feel free in the comments to ask me any questions. I'll try to answer them to the best of my knowledge. And if you see a question in the comments that you can answer, go ahead and do that as well. So thanks again for watching, guys. This is going to be an interesting week, to say the least. And happy trading. Keep your funds safe. Don't, you know, don't risk more than you can afford to lose. All right, guys. Have a good afternoon.